Business in the 217 with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk, and love checking in with Michelle Ownbey from Springfield Business Journal because they've got their thumb on the pulse of what's going on in and around the Springfield community. Michelle, thanks for taking time with us each and every week. How you doing?
Good morning, Greg. Doing well.
Good to hear. So, of course, Springfield Business Journal, you guys have a publication coming out soon. And is that today, Wednesday, when it drops?
It is, yes. New issue out today.
So how can people make sure they get a copy of that?
Well, it is subscription-based, so the best way is to sign up online at springfieldbusinessjournal.com and make sure you're getting that delivered to your home or office. We do have single copies available at Barnes & Noble and the racks on the old Capitol Plaza downtown, but most people are getting it through the mail.
And that's something you want to get plugged into if you're interested in what's going on in and around the Springfield business community, because they've got the reporters on the scene that are going through the records, that are getting comments, that are calling people up and making sure that we know what's going on with Springfield's business community. Now, Michelle, first story here is about the Myers building. It's pretty iconic. Everybody who drives through Springfield sees it. What's going on there?
Right. Well, there may or may not be a large redevelopment project in the works. There's been some conflict with the mayor's office, and they're not quite on the same page with the developer. So they're still trying to work out some details of that. But I can confirm that the Myers building is officially under contract to a group called the Prime Company. They're based out of Kansas, and they want to purchase that building and redevelop it into about 114 apartment units. Of course, it's currently used as office space, but almost 100 years ago, it was originally the Myers Brothers department store and all that. A lot of Springfield history there. And, Steve Myers is kind of the public face. Most of us in the Springfield business community know Steve because he's a man about town and very active with DSI and a lot of other community groups. But he is actually just one of about 20 owners of the Myers family, the holding company that has this building. And most of the others live out of state. Long story short, the family had made the decision to sell. So the property is under contract, but the holdup is the developer wants to get about $15 to $20 million in financing through the Illinois Housing Development Authority and do this project as affordable housing. But the city of Springfield is saying, no, they only want about 20% of the units to be the affordable housing, the other 80% at market rate. That would significantly skew the numbers with IDA and leave a big gap in the financing. So it remains to be seen if the city and the developer are going to be able to work out those details.
Some of these things people really don't necessarily think about when they're thinking about housing in downtown Springfield, the various categories there may be, the various types of funding that investors may have access to, and also all the hoops they may have to jump through, including getting local officials on board with whatever plans. So we'll be watching that closely. Appreciate the update on that, Michelle. Let's talk about now the Family Service Center, and it looks like they're selling their previous office space. Tell us what's going on there.
Right, and this is very close to home. I can almost see them out my window, at least their original location. They were in the former United Way building there on the corner of 8th and Vine. They relocated just last week to a nearby office at 919 South Spring Street. And when I talked to Executive Director Karen Cox, she said, they had some conversations for a while about moving to a building that was a little bit newer and more efficient, because of course that is another very historic and older property that had some maintenance issues and upkeep and all that. But she said last fall, Springfield Clinic reached out to them unsolicited and asked if they were interested in selling the property, and they saw it as a good opportunity to upgrade their facilities. So they have now relocated, again, to a very nearby building on Spring Street. She said they wanted to stay in the same area and be accessible to their clients, but that property is under contract. No word on what the clinic plans to do with it, but it's just south of their main campus. And again, that's right by our office. They've been buying up all kinds of properties in this area and expanding their footprint. So
things to definitely know about with the Springfield Business Journal. Publisher Michelle Ownbey with us on Springfield's News and Talk. I'm Greg Bishop with Springfield's Morning News with Business in the 217. Now, Michelle, of course, Wednesday, you got a new issue of the Springfield Business Journal coming out. And this one's pretty special because you're focusing on influential women in and around the Springfield business community and making some announcements with the latest publication. Tell us about it.
Right. So as you said, this is our annual Women of Influence. We do this in conjunction with Security Bank. And gosh, we've had this program for probably close to 20 years now, but it's always a fun issue. We have 5 selectees this year, all very influential in their own right, but pretty wide variety as far as the industries and backgrounds. And so this year we are recognizing Betsy Dollar from the Springfield Art Association, Dr. Wendi Wills El-Amin, Emily Lewis. She's actually our youngest woman of influence ever, but in addition to having 3 different businesses, the Three Twigs group of businesses, she's very involved in the community. Sammi Mander and then Leslie Sgro, and both Sammi and Leslie, again, extensive community involvement, both basically full-time volunteers and wear a lot of different hats. So really, really very inspirational. I think when you read the profiles of these ladies, you're going to wonder how they have enough hours in the day to do what they do. But it's always neat to read some of their stories and background.
And a way to get some inspiration out there for those of you who are entrepreneurs wanting to learn more about what it takes to be successful and impactful and influential. You can find that with the Springfield Business Journal. And maybe when you pick that up, you can go and if you know Leslie or the others, you can have them sign it.
There you go.
It's a nice memento as well. All right, Michelle Ownbey, publisher of the Springfield Business Journal. Always pleasure talking to you, and we'll definitely connect again next week. Tell us before we go as to how people can get a copy of the Springfield Business Journal.
Definitely go to springfieldbusinessjournal.com. You can sign up for Biz Bites. That's the weekly newsletter that's free of charge, comes out every Wednesday. And of course, you can also sign up to get that print edition mailed directly to you.
Appreciate it as always, and we'll see you next week.